Oh, I know that sound. It's time for the Beer News Report. Hi, and welcome to the Beer News Report. Cheers. Okay, this is the second part of my show, so I got to drink the second half of this beer. And remember, from the first show, I'm drinking Animal by Fort Point Beer Company, and I mixed it with Michelob Ultra. If you want to know why, just go to the first show, and I'll explain everything. But until then, let's get on with the show. This is going to be the second part of the U.S. energy policy where we're going to focus on solar power with battery storage. In the first part, we talked about the transition from coal to natural gas and how natural gas is going to slowly transition to green energy. You can see from this chart how the different energy sources rate in terms of cost. Nuclear has gotten more expensive. Coal, that price hasn't changed that much. Natural gas was the cheapest, but now solar and wind are the cheapest. I only focus on solar energy generation and power storage as the green energy system is way too broad of a subject. Also, natural gas and coal have been working together for over 150 years, so don't expect green energy to take over natural gas anytime soon. What I want to look at in this show is what is the motivation for people to start generating solar energy at their homes. Are you ready? Yeah, let's have a drink. Cheers. Okay, quick recap. Solar panels are only half of the energy generation solution. To make it complete, you need battery storage. Why? So you can have power both day and night. Right now, we're using lithium-ion batteries to do everything, right? They power our cell phones, they power our laptops, they're in our electric cars, and they're even in our home energy storage systems. But there's a new kid on the block, and that is liquid batteries or flow batteries. Why is this better than lithium-ion? Well, one, it doesn't catch fire. Two, it lasts longer. And three, it's easy to replace the electrolytic fluid than going out and replacing a whole bunch of lithium-ion batteries. Now, these flow batteries are relatively new. They've only been around for about 10 years. But the technology has developed enough to be competitive with lithium-ion batteries. And it's starting to be used in major storage projects at power companies. When you look at a new technology, you got to see if the big investors are coming in, right? So Bill Gates has invested in this technology. So has Jeff Bezos. He's the CEO of Amazon. In fact, a number of billionaires like Michael Bloomberg, you may remember him, he ran for president. Also Richard Branson, he has the Virgin Group. And Jack Ma of Alibaba. That's sort of the Chinese version of Amazon. All these smart, rich people see flow batteries as the next wave in power storage systems. It makes you think, right? Cheers. But why do power companies need battery storage systems? When there's a big draw on power demand, it's hard for electrical companies to ramp up their power generation. It takes some time. So the power companies usually run their generators a little higher than the power demand. So if a sudden jump happens, they can catch most of it, if not all of it. But running it higher than normal, this drains your profits because that's extra power that's just getting thrown away. But battery storage systems, the power can come online immediately, right? There's no delay. Any demand can be met, and this gives the power companies the ability to readjust their power generation. So now the power companies can run their power generation closer to the demand and not have to waste any energy. The savings from this efficiency more than pays for the storage systems in a relatively short amount of time. All right, power companies, way to save a buck. Cheers. All right, I see why power companies are buying into the battery storage systems, but why would a residential person do it? Well, for one thing, if you live in Northern California and PG&E cuts off your power because they feel that the power lines are going to start a forest fire, then you're going to be glad that you have a big battery storage system at your house. And this is also true of homes that live in areas that have major storms like Vermont. When a nor'easter hits, a blizzard comes in, knocks out the power for a couple of days. You have a battery storage system. That comes in real handy. Why is it so handy? Well, you don't have to go outside to start the generator. Or if it runs out of gas, you don't have to go outside to fill it back up. It's just way more convenient, and over the lifetime of the system, it's cheaper. Is this the only reason why someone would buy a battery storage system for their home? Well, right now, yes. But I want you to look down the road a bit and see what the future might hold for us. Are you ready? Yeah, let's have a drink. Cheers. As you know, I live in San Jose, California. And there's about roughly 300,000 homes in San Jose. Now, these are homes. I'm not talking about apartments or condos. Now, California passed a law that takes effect in 2020. All new homes being built have to have solar power on them. But again, solar power is only half of the equation. Now, let's stroll down the future path, and at some point, 100,000 homes will have solar power on them. And for the sake of this show, let's say that they also have battery storage. Now, I looked up, the average home uses about 32 kilowatts of energy per day. And let's say that you want to prepare for the future for a power outage, so you've installed a 100 kilowatt system, so you can go easily 3 days. You're doing this because you want to outlast a normal power outage. And a normal power outage, maybe on average, lasts a day. At max, it's going to be 3 days, right? So you're just playing it safe. So with 100,000 homes all storing 100 kilowatts per hour and not needing it, what can they do to maybe make some money? Well, you can sell power back to PG&E. And according to the California Public Utilities Commission, called the CPUC, they've set an energy price between 3 to 4 cents per kilowatt hour. All right, so we're going to use a lower amount to be conservative. So let's say you're going to sell back 50% of your energy, or 50 kilowatt hours, to PG&E. You're not going to make that much money. It's going to be about a $1.50 per day. So in a year, you make about $500. Well, you're going to actually make over $500. Let's say 500, because some days you're actually going to need the power, or it's going to be rainy and you're not going to make that much power. So we're going to round it off to $500. $500 a year, that's really not that much. My solar system I've had for over 20 years. So 20 years times $500 works out to be about $10K. You know, that's not too shabby, right? Cheers. Let's look at the bigger picture. We have 100,000 homes, each selling 50 kilowatt hours per day. So that's 5 megawatts per day. That's a lot of power. It's so much power that working with the mayor, you can start bargaining with PG&E. Let's say PG&E plays hardball and decides it doesn't want to do any bargaining. What can you do? Well, you can become part of the gig economy. So what is the gig economy? It's a labor market usually made up of short-term contracts or freelance work as opposed to a permanent job. But we're not going to talk about the labor market. We're going to talk about the energy market. You know how Uber and Lyft have these apps on your phone so you can call them up anytime you need a ride? Well, we're going to do the same thing with the energy market. Basically, an app is made where anyone or any business wants to buy energy. They can buy directly from you, and you can set the price. Remember how I said PG&E would pay you 3 cents per kilowatt hour, but they charge you 25 cents a kilowatt hour, and that's the low rate. The high rate can be almost 40 cents an hour. So now you go to your neighbor and you tell him if he gets this app, you will sell him power at 10 cents a kilowatt hour. That's half the normal rate. Why wouldn't he do it? But now you're making triple what PG&E has paid you. Remember when we were talking how you'd make $10,000 over 20 years using PG&E's payout rate? Well, now you're using this app which pays you 3 times what PG&E pays you. So actually making $30,000 now over that 20 years. Now imagine your neighbor has a pool, which sucks up a lot of energy. He's probably paying closer to the 50 cent per hour kilowatt rate. So you can charge him 20 cents per kilowatt hour. Well, now we're talking $60,000 over 20 years. Now we're talking, right? Cheers. Okay, PG&E isn't stupid. They're going to see this, and they're going to try to beat the app so nobody uses it. They're going to increase what they pay out to keep the competition away. Isn't that going to cut into their profits? Okay, so let's think about this. Right now, the normal way you make power is you have a centralized power grid where power comes from one source, like a dam or a nuclear power plant, and then it's distributed to homes via high voltage power lines. But we're getting energy from 100,000 homes, and this is a distributed power system. And with a distributed power system, not a centralized one, we don't have to use those high voltage power lines because the power is being generated at your house or the house next to you. All we need is the regular power lines that you see on the telephone poles and on any street, and the high voltage power lines would then become a backup. So PG&E owns the power lines on those telephone poles next to your house. So they're going to charge you a fee when you are sending power over those power lines on the telephone poles. Now this can be easily monitored by a smart meter at your house. In fact, these types of smart meters are required if you install a solar power system. So First off, PG&E doesn't have to generate the power. You're going to do it. They don't have to maintain the power system. It's your solar panels and it's your storage power systems. They don't even have to pay for installation because you're going to install it in the house. This is all done by the homeowner. So the cost of doing all that stuff gets removed. That adds to their profits. So it's a win-win for both you and PG&E, right? Cheers. You know, that all sounds nice, but isn't that going to take a long time? Where's the incentive to do this? Okay, that is where the Green New Bill comes into play. We need the government to give people an incentive to invest in themselves and build these solar power stations at their homes. And again, I'm not talking about just solar panels. We need the storage systems. So it all comes back to President-elect Biden, and will he be able to pass the Green New Deal? Actually, he doesn't have to pass all of it, just the solar incentive part, especially if that includes battery storage and not just solar panels. Well, look at that. The beer's almost empty, so that means we're at the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Please click the like button if you did. And if you want to contact me, you can reach me at this email address. Of course, if you want to get notified when a new show happens, you click that subscribe button and then click the bell icon next to it. This will notify you when I post a new show. But until then, keep your beer cold and your interest hot. Cheers.